So yeah, I just want to have a short note on Castaway, what I think about the movie, maybe from a more philosophical perspective. I really enjoyed this movie. It fits with the idea that men want to go out in nature and just survive, going back to what reality is, getting back from all this NFT crap and this focus of our consumerist society on consume, the focus of the challenge to find a wife that you are valuable for, right? That you can provide the necessary means. Nobody likes unsuccessful men. And most of us, we are unsuccessful, right? And we are emotionally exploited and financially exploited for these reasons. Not saying that women don't really contribute to an honest and real relationship, but let's face it, most relationships in the world, and it's not just the women's fault, it's maybe a fault of the patriarchy if you analyze it in a feminist manner, but most of these relationships are not really helpful for either side. And then we are biologically wired to feel lonely and to break out of that by maybe finding the ideal partner out there, which may not exist, and it's just a biological dilemma. But such a movie then addresses the way of maybe how to tackle it and to say, yeah, I go on an island and I live by myself. I prove to myself that I'm valuable to myself, and I just tackle the problem of love by conquering loneliness. So that may be one interpretation of the movie. By the way, it's very interesting here what I found. You can watch the movie on full on YouTube. But see, this seems to be a new way. They put like music behind. So the interesting thing is on the island, there's no music. It's just Tom Hanks trying to survive. And they put music behind, so to get around the YouTube algorithm check. And then they also chopped up all the pictures. So, and they basically tell the story, but then they show the pictures again and again. So you can technically watch the movie, but I don't know whether it will be a rewarding experience. And this seems to be another way of how to make money on YouTube. 65,000 views. So that's just an interesting side note. But yeah, what's so interesting about the movie? And I think the real story of the movie is not that it's a Robinson Crusoe movie where you go on an island and you conquer your own nature and you conquer nature. And it's not this romanticism of man being a victor over society and nature at once. There's no romanticism in it. It's a pretty harsh endeavor, and Tom Hanks has to extract his truth. I ask a lot of questions on Quora whether you can do that, and I find that interesting because many of the dentists on Quora they said, "Yeah, you can do that." I was like, "What?" So if I have pain, I try to avoid it, but it seems tooth pain, and I never had that, becomes so excruciating that you will do anything to stop it. It will be such an excruciating pain when it just goes right on your nerves. And once you remove it, you will feel free. But they also said that when you have tooth pain for 3 days, it will disappear because then the nerve just dies. But you will feel incredibly miserable. And I guess you will be traumatized. Now, that's one of the things when you live alone on an island. And of course, there are many problems. Can you create fire and so on? But that's what I think is not what the movie is about. I think the movie, and now I spoil a bit, so don't watch it if you haven't seen it. But by the way, I think it's good if you spoil a movie. So the way I watch movies, before I decide to watch a movie, I try to get as much information about that as possible. Like background stories, how it was made, what people think it expresses. And I don't want to get the major spoilers. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't want to know that, I don't know, like Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. I mean, that's a real revelation. But most of the parts in movies are not real spoilers, right? And I made the experience that if I understand a movie beforehand, for example, I watched The Dark Knight, I will enjoy the movie way more. So I can recommend you try spoiling yourself movies and see what happens to you. Right? I mean, the problem is you cannot run a real experiment because once you spoiled it, you cannot yet watch it in an unspoiled way. But maybe you watch the movie once without any information before, without spoilers, like a complicated movie like The Tenet, and then you do something like you do 1 week research about The Tenet, try to understand everything, and then you watch it again. And then compare the enjoyment. And the interesting thing is, if it's a good movie, you enjoy it the second time because it is not about the spoilers and you already know it, right? So you can make your life way more effective, I think, if you spoil yourself movies and really take them into the fullest, and your experience of that movie will be way more meaningful. So, and what I think is interesting about Castaway is the fact that the story is framed by the love relationship. He is in a relationship with Helen Hunt. He tells her that he comes back. He wants to marry her. He lets her know that he plans to make her to propose to her. But then he just gets on this island for 5 years. For 5 years. And I think the great part is when he gets off the island, he gets back to Helen Hunt, and she's married. She's married, she has a baby, and she tells him, "You are the love of my life." And they have like these great scenes where they don't talk much. They just stand with regard to each other, and they have this sublinguistic communication for what they do. It plays a little bit on the romanticism layer. Like, yeah, of course, it gives you some of the romanticism, but like the way of how he experienced these 5 years and the fact that she had already buried him, that she lost him, and that she finds him again, but that they cannot stay together. It's one of the great achievements of that movie to come up with that idea and to create a meaningful ending that is not just a happy ending, but that also tells you something about yourself, about your hunt for true romance, and maybe the impossibility of that idealized romance, and that your ethical behavior with regard to romance may give you more meaning in the end, and it's not the direct reward and the happiness. So yeah, I recommend, for example, as sources for spoilering Quora. And one of the questions is, why does Tom Hanks in the movie don't open the box with the angels on it? And I didn't understand that when I watched the movie. I wish I had seen that before. He opens all these FedEx boxes because he works for FedEx, and he finds like things that seem to be really useless, right? Maybe an NFT yacht for $650,000, I don't know. But he finds the volleyball. The volleyball becomes Wilson. It fits a little bit with what Nietzsche says, that there is no internal meaning to anything, not even to our life's existence. There is no purpose to a hammer. We make it to have it a purpose. And that's our power to create something. And so when he finds the volleyball is meaningless, but it becomes his best friend, Wilson. And the will to power is this underlying energy where we can turn everything into a meaning for us. And that's the same for our biological life form. Biology in itself has no meaning. Biology may be a blind instinct that we follow, but we can repurpose it. We can repurpose it in many ways by virtue of reflection. However, I think this movie shows this only a little. But he doesn't open this package with the wings on it. And actually, this is how the movie starts, with Dick and Bettina. And then she delivers a package to a friend in Moscow, where, by the way, Tom Hanks also is, and he actually has an affair. And then she decides actually to break up with him after 5 years, and he comes back. He cannot be with Helen Hunt. And then he actually goes to her place and delivers the package that he didn't open, because she sends another package to him, I believe. Or he sends it back. I don't really remember. See, like maybe that's not so important. But this package kept him alive for creating purpose out of himself. And this purpose was not that eternal love. It was the possibility that is in an unopened box. It's the nothingness that occupies the place of being. Nothingness in that sense gives meaning. And makes him to get from that island, not Helen Hunt. And then he delivers this package. And then in the end, they don't say, oh, here's another romance. He will fall in love with her. But he has another way of creating meaning. So I hope this was a bit understandable of how I delivered it. There's an interesting joke. Actually, they turned it in a commercial. Let me find it. Can I find it? Because he hasn't opened the package for 5 years. This was one of the packages with the angel wings on where he decided not to open it. And it brought him back. And then FedEx actually made a commercial out of this. And it's a good idea.
Hi.
So this is obviously a version of Tom Hanks, right?
Hi.
I was marooned on an island for 5 years with this package. And I swore that I would deliver it to you because I work for FedEx.
That's very admirable. Thank you.
Hey, but by the way, what's in the package?
Nothing really. Just a satellite phone, GPS locator, fishing rod, water purifier, and some seeds. Just silly stuff. Thank you again.
So he could have immediately left the island. So I think that was a good joke, a good commercial campaign. But he works for FedEx, so he didn't open it. So yeah, thank you for watching. This was a very short review from Castaway. Okay, maybe not one of the greatest movies of all time, but more meaningful if you watch it in a spoilered version, and that is my argument. So if you like that, join me again for movie spoilers in the future. If not, then don't subscribe to my channel, don't like this video. And I wish you anyway a good life. And to everyone, I just say, live long. Spoil yourself more movies by either watching them or reading about them before. And prosper. Bye-bye.